We got so much Tesla stock related news today. Let's go through everything. There are multiple disasters happening. Ford lays off 700 employees that work on the F-150 Lightning. Keep in mind, this is after Ford cut prices. Clearly, they don't have enough demand. GM is also going through a disaster, as well as Lucid, and there are multiple EV bankruptcies happening right now. But let's start with a major surprise about Tesla first. There is a Tesla recall. That in itself is not really surprising. We as investors expect these. But read this first headline here. Tesla recalls more cars. Why that reveals something positive. How often do you see that in the media about Tesla? There are a few more headlines. Some are somewhat alright, and some are just says it's a recall. But there seems to be a bit of a positive switch here. So why does Barron's think that this is a great thing for Tesla? For investors, it doesn't matter. Barron's writes, in fact, the recent recall data for the electric vehicle giant indicates something positive. Most Tesla recalls are fixed with software updates. One implication of that is the cost to correct problems is low. Yes, Tesla recalls are way down year over year, so that's what's positive. So far in 2023, Tesla has recalled some 439,000 vehicles, putting it on pace to recall about 550,000 units for the full year. In 2022, Tesla recalled 3.8 million vehicles. And here's how Tesla compares to other automakers, Ford and GM, especially Ford. Yeah, they had quite a few recalls. And Tesla this year is doing really well. Now, the recall is about Model X only, and this has to do with the vehicle controller that is likely to fail to detect low brake fluid and not display a warning light. But the over-the-air update is going to fix that, and Tesla is not aware of any crashes, injuries, or deaths that may be related to this issue. Who could have possibly seen this coming? General Motors just said it is delaying production of all electric trucks at its Michigan plant by at least a year to better manage capital investments and implement improvements in an effort to make the new EVs more profitable. It implies that GM is making money from EVs already, which of course is not the case. And these UAW strikes are definitely not helping. This is a disaster for GM. Remember how Lucid was supposed to report its deliveries last week, and then it just got delayed and then delayed and then delayed and then delayed again? Well, finally we got the delivery numbers, and it's a disaster. Wall Street expected them to deliver 2,000 vehicles, and they actually only delivered 1,457 vehicles. And how does the mainstream media cover this? Remember, Lucid spends a lot of money on advertising. Lucid posts a 4% rise in quarterly deliveries as the promotional price helps the demand. Wow. You mean despite advertising a lot and doing price cuts at the same time, you are barely growing anymore? And it's not like Lucid just had one bad quarter. The CEO of Lucid in late 2021 says, so not too long ago, the company is on track to achieve its production target of 20,000 vehicles in 2022 and 50,000 in 2023. Year to date, in 2023, Lucid has produced 6,000 vehicles only. That's not just, whoops, we just had a bad quarter this one time, or 2 quarters, or maybe 3 quarters. No, this is a disaster that just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Lucid was down 6.5% earlier today, but now it is down roughly 4% only. And to me, this does not look like a buying opportunity. I'm just sticking with Tesla. And with 14 minutes left before the markets close, Lucid is now down 6%. Seems like investors are figuring it out that Lucid is not really doing so well here. I also don't really blame Lucid for not producing more vehicles, because with every vehicle they are losing about $300,000 according to this Bloomberg report. In the last 12 months we have seen relatively small EV companies, some of them go bankrupt, and here's another one. This EV truck manufacturer is filing for bankruptcy as well. Interestingly, their battery supplier went bankrupt earlier this year, which contributed to now them going bankrupt. Also, they said that tight capital had a negative effect on them, so higher interest rates are making them go out of business, basically. How long do you think it will take for a company that's as big as Lucid to go bankrupt? We will definitely see more of these. Here's another company that also just went bankrupt on October 7th. You probably never even heard of this company, but when it went under, many big-time car reviewers spoke highly of its vehicles and compelling specs. Well, I guess they were not compelling enough. And these influencers are now under attack on social media for recommending the brand. In 2015, upon inception, that company raised the largest amount ever for a new auto startup in China, and just like the CEO, all of that has now disappeared from the Chinese market. Piper Sandler analyst Alexander Potter has lowered his Tesla stock price target to $290 from $300. He reiterated his overweight rating and said that Cybertruck and other growth initiatives are on the horizon, and there's a reasonable likelihood that margins will bottom in Q3, but still, we wouldn't be surprised if Tesla stock trades sideways at best in the coming months. Well, it doesn't take a genius to look at this chart and realize that Tesla trades sideways for long periods of time only to break through really strongly. And if you look at Alexander's TipRanks profile, he's actually a really good analyst. He's number 299 out of 8,500 Wall Street analysts. But if you look at his success rate, it's only 48%, so he is literally more often wrong than he is right. But when he is right, he's really right, which is how he's able to produce these returns right now. So based on his track record, I would actually expect the opposite to happen of whatever he says in terms of which way the stock is going to move. So he says it's going to move sideways. I would expect the opposite. If he did get a little bit deeper, his success rate with Tesla specifically is actually 66%. And he always said, buy more Tesla stock. His average return has been over 100%. So specifically with Tesla stock, he does have a lot more credibility, and he has been right 66% of the time. Finally, the new Model 3 is now available to order in the UK as well, but the deliveries start in January of next year. Remember, the UK drives on the other side of the road. The starting price is £40,000. There's also someone posting this. This is if you go to Tesla's website in Australia. It says, be the first to know when our upgraded Model 3 is available to test drive. So that seems to be new, and that's an indication that Tesla Model 3 is also coming to Australia, perhaps sooner than later. We just got Tesla delivery numbers in China based on the insurance numbers, and it is 7,500. We do not know how many Model Ys and Model 3s have been sold because we don't have the model mix number yet. Assuming that there have been no Model 3s, this number is, I would say, pretty good. 7,500, not bad. If the Model 3 ramp continues successfully, we could possibly see a new record in China. However, for that to happen, the updated Model Y also needs to scale and ramp successfully without any hiccups. We did see a reduction of Model Ys just now earlier. So if that was just a temporary thing, we should be good for this quarter. And also, the cumulative Tesla insured units in China for 2023 have now surpassed all of 2022. So that's good news. And the first ship has just arrived to Europe that carries a lot of refreshed Model 3, so expect to see a lot of Model 3 deliveries very soon in Europe. Oh, we have good news here. If you drive a Tesla, have you ever had this experience where you are going to a supercharger, it says that the slot is available, and you arrive and it's taken? So annoying. It happened to me once, but luckily the spot was available very quickly after that, so it wasn't really a big deal, but I'm sure it happened to some other people before, and it can be quite annoying, but it's very rare. However, This will be solved now. Tesla is starting to predict supercharger availability upon arrival by looking at how many vehicles are en route to the charging station. What a genius idea. And this is especially useful if you go on a really long road trip, let's say an 8-hour trip where you have to stop many times and you are not really checking every supercharger availability 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes before you arrive. You just set the car to its destination and then it shows you where to stop. So now it would change the locations for you if the locations need to be changed for charging, because occasionally some locations could get a bit crowded, but you won't have that issue anymore as long as there are other superchargers nearby, which they are sort of everywhere now. I would like to have more, but there are quite a few in most places. I'm not Swedish, but I probably have some Viking blood in me as I am blonde, so it's nice to see that Tesla has just announced that it delivered its 50,000th vehicle in Sweden. Tomorrow is the earnings day. The expectations are at 74 cents per share, and tomorrow I will actually do 3 videos. The first one will be just like always in the morning, going over all of the news. Then I will go over the earnings report, and then I will do a live streaming the earnings call. Hopefully everything goes well. I will do a test live stream later today just to make sure that technically everything works just fine. Just now the expectations actually were lowered to 73 cents per share, but if you look at the history of what Wall Street expects and what actually happens, Wall Street is pretty much almost always too conservative, so likely Tesla will beat the expectations again, but that does not mean that the stock will go up. We had times where the stock actually went down despite Tesla beating the earnings. So don't be surprised if Tesla stock goes down. And it will be important to focus on the long term, not on what's happening right now, but what's happening in the next few years, the next 5 years, and the next 7 and 10 years. I like this post quite a bit because it shows us how well Tesla is doing within each price range. I mean, often what people like to do is take a Tesla Model Y, which is a relatively expensive vehicle, and then compare it to the cheapest vehicles available and say, oh, well, Tesla still beats them, but it's not doing all that well. When you compare like this, you get a better understanding of how well Tesla is truly doing. Now, notice that this is comparisons between new energy vehicles, which also include hybrids. For example, within this price range in China, you have these 2 vehicles which are hybrids. So this is not really a completely fair comparison, but still, look at this price range. Look at how well Tesla is doing despite competing with hybrids. And keep in mind, this is specifically in September, and the Model 3 obviously was not available. So you won't see the Model 3 here. Nuevo Leon governor is in Shanghai, and it appears that he will be visiting Tesla's Giga Shanghai tomorrow. That should help Tesla build a factory in Mexico faster. This is good news for Tesla. The Prime Minister of Thailand borrowed his wife's Model Y to drive to war because he wants to win Tesla's heart when he gets to talk to the company next month. He also praised the Tesla Model Y, and it also seems that maybe he liked the Model Y better than his other car, Mercedes S-Class. He says it's easier to get in and out of the Model Y compared to the S-Class. I think he probably likes the S-Class quite a bit. I mean, on the inside, it's pretty nice. Sometimes I see people talking about Polestar, and supposedly they design really good EVs. So let's take a look at this. This is Polestar 3, and it is pretty pricey. You only get 270 miles of range versus Tesla's 300. 0 to 60 speed is also noticeably slower than Tesla's. And how come does it weigh 30% more, and yet at the same time the max cargo area is 35% less, despite the Polestar vehicle actually being bigger than the Model Y. How does that make any sense at all? Also, if you look at the back of the Polestar vehicle, for storage, I mean, this should be a better form factor. And yet the numbers tell a different story. And here's an opinion from AJ, which I think makes sense. Geely hid behind Polestar 3's nice Swedish design a bunch of unoptimized shelf parts from Geely's plant in China, where the Polestar 3 is made. The Polestar 3 is one of the least optimized vehicles. This is fun. This Mercedes dealership manager admits that Tesla's vertically integrated direct sales model is superior to the franchise system in terms of pricing. This is the first time we have seen this Tesla Semi Pepsi wrap. I also wonder, just like Sawyer, if this Semi is brand new. If it is, maybe Tesla improved the Semi design significantly, which would be great. A Cybertruck frame has just been spotted. People like Sandy Monroe could possibly offer some new interesting commentary about this, so I'll see if anyone says anything. Tesla just shared this video showing full self-driving beta. Interestingly, it is not FSD 12, it is FSD 11.4.7. I also like this warning message at the bottom, making it very clear that you need to pay attention. I skimmed through the video and it didn't seem to have anything extremely impressive. It's more like just a regular video that you would expect to see from Omar on Omar's catalog channel. I'm a lot more interested in FSD version 12 because clearly that's the direction that Tesla chose. All right, and we are seeing a lot of Model 3s on these semis in China, so refresh Model 3 delivery should start within China very soon, probably, hopefully this week. But these could just end up as demo vehicles and we may not see any refresh Model 3 deliveries this week in China yet. BYD just unveiled the seal pricing in Australia, undercutting Tesla's Model 3. It is a pure battery electric vehicle, not a hybrid. Here's all you need to know about it. In China, when this vehicle was released, it hit 15,000 sales per month, and then the sales dropped a lot because Tesla dropped prices. And the sales only recovered when Tesla stopped selling the Model 3 because of the refresh Model 3. So even though BYD is going to sell this vehicle $12,000 cheaper than the Tesla Model 3, I am not worried here at all. Now you may see Tesla drop prices a bit in Australia, but we have already seen Tesla beat BYD in China. And I think Chinese probably don't mind the idea of buying a Chinese vehicle, but Australians would probably prefer to buy an American vehicle instead of a Chinese vehicle. I have not seen this brand even once here in Canada, and probably it's not in the US either, but in Europe, this brand is all over the place, and they just released a new EV with 199 miles. Yeah, I guess if you never pretty much leave the city, it's all right. But if you have to drive the vehicle a bit further, I would not like the idea of owning that vehicle. It is pretty cheap though. You can get one for $24,000. Cathie Wood was just called out on TV about selling Nvidia stock. Here's how she defended herself on TV. To be fair, Tesla stock is up 135% here today, but Nvidia is up over 200%. But it's not just about what will the stock do in the next 12 months, it's about where are we going in the next 5 to 10 years. And Cathie Wood specifically focuses on the next 5 years.
Do you regret selling it? You called it, quote, really expensive. I will note that the forward PE of Nvidia is literally half of Tesla's forward PE. So how can Nvidia be really expensive with Tesla not being so? And do you regret selling it?
We own it in our specialized funds. We've taken it down everywhere. And this is portfolio management. We see Nvidia, you might say it is less expensive than Tesla. We think the upside surprises on Tesla during the next 5 years, and remember we have a 5-year investment time horizon, are going to be substantially more than NVIDIA's, mostly because most analysts do not believe that autonomous as a taxi platform for Tesla is going to be a part of the story. We disagree. And with that, we see incredible revenue and margin expansion. NVIDIA's margins are already quite high, having entered the 70s, the gross margins. Tesla's are in the 20s, and we think they will scale into the 60s and 70s as autonomous takes off. So Tesla, we believe, is the biggest AI project, or autonomous driving is the biggest AI project in the world. NVIDIA has been critical to providing the infrastructure to enable this and so many other things to happen. All praises to NVIDIA. We think that a lot of people understand how important NVIDIA is in this ecosystem, and they do not understand how much each dollar of hardware spent is going to pull software through. We think it's on the order of 20 times. So we think NVIDIA is going to be a good stock.
But Tesla stock, she says, is going to basically be quite a bit better. And so I will be buying more Tesla stock. This video is about buying Tesla stock, how to dollar cost average, when to buy, how much to buy, and how I would buy Tesla stock if I had a big lump sum. It is exclusively available on Patreon, and by joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching that discussion about the future with Elon Musk, watch this one first. My name is Matt. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.